All right, hello ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about summarization skills and how to make yourself a little bit better. This is Mr. Crayer, and then I'm here with a bunch of other English teachers that are unfortunately not as close to the mic as I am, but maybe they could shout out something.
Hey there. Hi.
Okay, hopefully that worked. So we're going to show you a short video and kind of help you with summarization. And you might want to take some notes as you're going through, and feel free to pause the video as necessary. So the first thing is, basically what is summarization? And you have a nice little definition here, and that's to reduce information to its most essential ideas. So take a big thing and then kind of shrink it down to what are the main points of that big thing. Mainly the two divisions you're going to come across are fiction and nonfiction. And the strategies you use for summarization in fiction and nonfiction are going to be a little bit different. We're going to give you an example of both. First, we'll look at an example of a fictional summary using Miss Cundiff's C-squared strategy. And then after that, we'll look at a nonfiction work. And in general, when you're looking at nonfiction, you're going to want to find the main topic in the work and then figure out what the author says about that topic. Okay? So two different ways to focus on summary versus fiction and nonfiction. So let's go ahead and look at that fictional use. What the C-squared stands for, you can kind of see in the bottom here, is character and conflict. So when you put together a fictional summary, make sure that you mention who are the main characters, or maybe just one character, and then what is the main conflict or conflicts. So also you might want to make sure that on step 1 it says there, mention the setting, and so make sure that you want to explain in your summary where this is actually happening. What's the time, setting, place, any relevant information to understanding it. Then you'll want to make sure to name all the main characters and explain the conflicts that they experience. We're going to look at an example from the Hunger Games, because hopefully most of you have some understanding of that. And we're going to start with the setting here by saying that it takes place in a dystopian world, or an imperfect world, kind of the opposite of a utopia. And our main character is Katniss Everdeen. So our job is going to be explaining what are the main things she struggles with in the first book, or in the movie. And here's our summary. In a dystopian world, Katniss Everdeen must survive a competition where children from different districts of the country are forced to fight one another to the death for entertainment. During the competition, she struggles with her integrity, her opponents, and the system that she was born into. And I think right there you have basically the overall idea or summary of the first book without giving anything away. And you've taken a whole novel or a whole book and boiled it down to just the most essential ideas. Now, when dealing with nonfiction, the steps are somewhat similar. Instead of finding the character, you're going to find the topic of the work. And the topic is the main subject that the work is about. And then step 2, you need to answer the question, what does the author say about the topic? And this doesn't necessarily have to be the author's opinion every single time, but sometimes you will find the author's opinion and you need to state what the author says about that topic as well. You'll notice in the fictional section, we said mention the setting. What might be good in the nonfiction that's not up here is you might also want to mention the title of the work, the author, and then any additional information we might need to know to understand what nonfictional piece you're working with. Okay? So, we have a short excerpt from an article here that Ms. Sarinsky has provided for us. Hopefully you can pause it and read it, but just in case, I will read through it very, very quickly. Obama wins cautious praise for ending deportation of minors by Carrie L. Byron and Ethan Friedman. President Barack Obama's administration announced yesterday that the United States would no longer deport certain young immigrants. Reversing previous policy, undocumented immigrants who come to the United States as children and are deemed to pose no security risk will no longer be under threat of deportation. Instead, the administration ordered that the government begin to make available work permits for those who qualify. A few other prerequisites also apply. The candidates must have come to the U.S. before they turn 16. They have to be younger than 30 years old and have lived in the United States for at least 5 continuous years and attend school or have graduated from high school or have been honorably discharged from the U.S. military and have a relatively clean criminal record. Okay? Take a second, pause it if you need to, and then take a look at this example of a summary. Here we start off by saying who or what the title of the article is, and then saying who wrote it. The article, Obama Wins Cautious Praise for Ending Deportation of Minors, was written by Byron and Friedman, states that on July 15, 2012, President Barack Obama issued an executive order not only halting the deportation of some young undocumented immigrants, but also allowing them to apply for work permits. And I think you would agree that that basically sums up the point of that article. You'll notice that we didn't go into all the details that you see at the very bottom, because then we'd almost be giving too much information, and that would go beyond the level of summary. All right? Hopefully now you've seen an example of fiction and nonfiction. We have some other tips for you just to remember in general. Make sure that the summary is in your own words and not just the author's. Don't just take one sentence and claim that that's the summary. It's the overall structure, not the theme. This is especially important in fictional work. You're not looking for the theme of the text. You're looking for the overall structure that the text follows. Also, don't forget to stay objective, which means don't add your opinion in the summary. With the article about President Obama, it's not a place for you to say whether you agree or disagree with the idea, just to clearly state that what has happened in the article. And you might have a time where you get to say your opinion in class instead. Also, make sure to capture the opinion of the author if it exists within the article. Clearly, they would include that for a specific reason, too. Okay? Hopefully that all makes sense. Now what we would like you to do is practice writing your own summary and looking at some other summaries as well. So please read How Do You Define Success and complete the summary chart. You should find those below the video as step 2 and possibly step 3. All right? Good luck.